We are live with the community, and this is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Development bi-weekly call. Today is December 7th. This is our first general dev call of the month, and we are excited. We're nearing in on the end of the year and excited to continue to get into all the amazing contributions that you're all doing. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. We're going to get the latest updates on the community. We're going to talk about a number of initiatives, things like PNP.NET libraries, PowerShell, Yo Teams, Teams Toolkit, Graph Toolkit. We're going to talk about script samples, team samples, Power Platform samples, and then, of course, we're going to get into what? Picture time with the camera. Vess is going to take our fantastic faces to show off to the community how much we appreciate you all being here. We've got two amazing presenters today. Siddharth is going to talk to us about community event registration on Power Platform within an app. And of course, back is Chris Kent for list formatting tips and tricks. What does he have in store for us? None of us know. We just hope that it's safe. All right, let's talk about some resources that are available to you. Absolutely free, all day, all the time. There are a number of them. We've got videos that are provided by not only members of Microsoft, but members of the community like you, and demos such as you're going to see today. We've got our LinkedIn group for discussions, and what we should probably add here is our Discord group, Discord server that we have available. So definitely you'll learn more about that at the end of the call. We've got a lot of open source initiatives available to you to take advantage of, things that you'll see today and on our other bi-weekly SPFX calls. And of course, we've got a plethora of samples available to you. Team samples, SPFX samples, Power Platform, list formatting. The list goes on and on and on, and we are breaking new ground all the time on those samples because of folks like you. So all you got to do is remember one URL that gives you access to all these things, and that is aka.ms/community/home. That'll give you a direct link and feed to all these resources that you can learn more about. And so let's talk a little bit more about them. You like community calls because you're here. We hope you do. And well, we've got more for you. The Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly call is a Microsoft speakers call, which means that you're going to hear it directly from the mothership, from those product managers, program managers that are making the software that we all love and is near and dear to our hearts. So definitely get that on your calendar. We'll review that agenda in a moment, but it is noteworthy that it is going to be on a holiday break from the 20th of December to the 8th of January. So there will be no calls, although Vessa and I have no life. So we'll still be on those calls to let everybody know, because we can't remove them from your calendar. We'll be there, absolutely. If you want to come in, I think we're going to be available to answer questions. We'll make it a little more ad hoc and everything. So it'll be fun and free-formed. And then we'll be back with the official agendas on the 9th of January. We've got our Power Platform monthly call, which is coming up here in a couple weeks. Fantastic agenda, which we'll be releasing in the next couple of days. And then our Office add-ins, along with our sibling bi-weekly M365 and Power Platform community, which you're on now, and Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework, which is both on Thursday, 7 a.m. Those are not taking a break, to be very clear. Those are every Thursday. Rain, sleet, sunshine, space, blackout, sun goes away. We'll be here for you no matter what. And you can access these invites at aka.ms/community/calls. Get those invites onto your calendar. Absolutely worthwhile attending every single one. What's the agenda for next week, you ask? Funny, we have a slide for that. Seb will be here to talk about what's new in Graph Toolkit version 4. Alex and Vessa will be here talking about Introduction to Bot Framework powered by Viva Connections ACES. And then Sean Henry will be here, Introduction to WhatsApp support in Azure Communication Services. So we've got a trifecta, or a hat trick for those hockey fans, of demos that you are absolutely going to love. Now, you may be watching today and thinking, I absolutely can do a better demo than Chris Kent. Yes, we all think that, although not as fun. Of course, we love Chris, but we want to welcome each and every one of you to present on this call, because why? It's your call. And don't overthink it, everybody. Don't feel like I have to show off what makes time travel possible in a flux capacitor. If you've got a new feature that's come out, maybe a favorite feature, maybe something you've rediscovered, please don't hesitate to share it. You might have a script, you might have a tip or a trick or a shortcut, something that you want to show off to the community. We encourage each and every one of you to do that. So all you got to do is go to ak.ms/community/request/demo and fill it out, and we will get back to you and get you scheduled. So please don't hesitate to get involved. On our Sharing is Caring program, which provides hands-on guidance, we've got our office hours getting set up here soon so that you can absolutely just jump into a call, ask questions. We've got our videos coming soon, and I know we've been scaling this, so we appreciate everyone's patience, and we appreciate all the love that you've continued to show for this program. We are absolutely looking to continue it, so rest assured we will be back strong in the new year with those opportunities to participate. And of course, what is live and fully in living color right now is our recognition program, where we are recognizing you in a formal and official way by providing Credly badges. And this is a program that is absolutely free. There is absolutely no cost for you. All you got to do is opt in at ak.ms/community/recognition. We've got a few weeks left of December, which means that you can still get the season of getting, slice of samples, the latte commits, plenty of opportunity. And of course, all our other badges, we're starting to prime them for 2024. So get all those 2023 badges before they disappear forever. But we appreciate everybody and all that you're doing, and it's our way of giving back. All right, let's get into some project-specific updates, and we will kick it off with Bert.
Awesome. Thank you, David. So for .NET, we had a quiet period the last 2 weeks, but nevertheless, there was some progress. So the main thing for us is we are ramping up for a next new formal release. So 1.14 for framework and 1.11 for course decay with .NET 8. So that's hopefully coming next week. Aligning with the PowerShell folks to get all out together. And one cool update done by Martin is if we had a bug in setting site collection admins for groupified sites, where the groupified site, the first admin is actually a claim to link back to the group, and you can't change it. Long story short, we missed an admin being set in that method, which is fixed now, so all good. And then the last thing, usage-wise, we're really kind of close to all-time highs for both number of requests and number of tenants. So people keep on using more course decay and framework, so that's really good. And with that, I think we can move to PnP PowerShell with Gautam. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Bert. Got him. Take it away.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Bert. Yep, a slow week here as well in PnP PowerShell. We are preparing for 2.3.0 release as well. What's new in the latest nightly builds? We added a new command, remove PnP M365 group photo, which will help you delete the display picture of a group. And we also improved the set PnP Teams picture to better handle Teams display pictures as well. And yes, people do use Mac OS for debugging. So if you are using that, we also help improve the debugging experience over there as well. And yeah, we'd absolutely love to hear from you what we'd like to work on, and if you run into any issues as such, feel free to reach out on the GitHub as well. So yep, thanks. Over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you. Got him. Let's move it on over to Rick for Yo Teams.
Yeah, it seems like a cool 2 weeks has been everywhere. I'm guessing that's Thanksgiving and last week ESPC as well, so everybody was away. We had a new update for a manifest. 1.16 is now available. I did not add it, but thanks to Paul Schaeflin for adding that. We also are ready to push to this preview then, because I think Paul was last changes we need to put in a new stable version. I was planning to doing that this week, but my bad, I didn't have time for it. So if you want to try it out, I'm thinking this week we should have a new version coming out, so that will be cool. If you want to help, be sure to help. And that was it from my side. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. And no ever need to apologize for taking time for yourself, especially this time of year. Everybody deserves a break, as Bo mentioned in the chat. All right. John is out today, so I'll cover Teams Toolkit. Version 5.3 is pre-release for VS Code. 17.9 is in preview for Visual Studio. And the Teams Toolkit CLI is at the version 2.0.3 beta. Chat anytime at ak.ms/ttk/chat. You can schedule those with John. He's very, very open and willing to get together and collaborate with the community. This is a great initiative, and we've seen a lot of demos on it lately. So you obviously know how powerful it is. And if you don't, then definitely check out our playlist from previous calls, because this is super, super valuable. All right. What's up next? MGT, you might say, or Microsoft Graph Toolkit with Sebastian Levert.
Hey, thanks, David. We are still at our version 3.1.3. Adding a bunch of capabilities, accessibility issues, but also new features. We're right now really working hard on getting our version 4 of the Microsoft Graph Toolkit out there. So that's really what we're working on right now. Have a look. You can go aka.ms/mgt/v4. You will be able to see what's cooking, what's coming, and you can always install the next bits and pieces by doing an npm install at Microsoft/mgt at Next to see what is going to come in V4. Lots of really, really, really cool features, especially when you're building with small bits of MGT where we're not going to pull in all the packages. Lots of tree shaking happening. Really, really cool things that we're making happen in that next version. Also, we have made available our public preview of the Microsoft Graph Toolkit chat components. Last week on the M365 Microsoft speaker call, I like to say, we introduced it. So please go and watch a video on YouTube where we're really doing the full circle on what the Microsoft Graph Toolkit chat components really give you. And we really believe that this is going to be a game changer in bringing productivity inside your third-party application. So we need your help. If you find a bug, let us know. Come fix it if you are willing to. And if not, just tell us what we can do to improve, how we can add new features, bring in the issues, aka.ms/mgt. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Seb. In fact, I think that video was a galactic debut, right? What do we mean by galactic debut? Well, you got to go watch the video. So check it out, everybody. All right, let's move on to script samples. Paul's out today as well. So we've got some new scenarios and samples, new scenarios using PNP PowerShell from Rashmi. Thank you. Updated scenarios for PNP PowerShell from Casper, who is on the call. He's always involved there. Thank you as well. And then updated scenarios for CLI for Microsoft 365. From Ganesh. So thank you for the amazing contributions. As you can see, there are badges available for this. And everybody, Paul is an amazing, amazing maintainer for this. He is super welcoming. And it is one of the easiest ways to get involved because we all have utility scripts. So don't downplay or don't think that your script is not worthy. If you've got something that you use that makes your life easier with our technology, get it up there. It's a badge. It's a contribution. And Paul would love, love, love to help you. So you can learn more at ak.ms/script samples. All right, how about some team samples with Bob German?
Hey, thanks very much. So this slide is a rerun from last week or from 2 weeks ago, I admit. We didn't get any new samples. I'm sure everybody was busy either with Thanksgiving or ESPC. Just want to point out for anyone who missed that because of the holidays and everything that were going on, that we did have a big bunch of samples that kind of came out at Ignite relating to Copilot and being able to take and extend the Microsoft 365 Copilot. There's also a hands-on lab with the link right there. Now, I know a lot of you are challenged and want access to this, and it's not so easy right now, and I get that. They're working on it. I will post in the chat the URL for the ISV developer tab. This is for independent software vendors, but there are some subscriptions available there, and we'll keep you posted. And meanwhile, we'll keep the samples coming and hopefully looking forward to some samples over the holidays from the community and from Microsoft. Back to you, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. And last but not least, I think you've all heard a little something called Copilot. Just in case you haven't, we have got our Power Platform prompts repo. Now, we've been seeing a lot of action here because, let's face it, we all need a little tips and tricks on how we can engage with Copilot, right? Well, this is your one-stop shop. So take advantage of this particular repo. And as you build your love language with Copilot, add it here. This is a great way, again, another easy way to get involved in the community, contribute back to the community, and engage with others. And by the way, you're going to get a badge and you're going to get recognized. So definitely check that out. If you have any questions about it, reach out to myself or April Dunham. We're happy to help. But now we'll move on to picture time. So Vesa is going to turn on the working together mode.
It was
and
working.
He's muted. There you go.
No, I'm here. You're muted.
No.
I don't see you. Where are you?
Okay, sorry. Yes. All right. I'm here. Not just a voice from the ether.
Still don't see you. There we go.
I know. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's slow. I'm going to have to write another letter to
So
Satya.
50 seats in a room. Yeah, write another one for Satya. He'll fix it. So
Yeah, that's right.
definitely always helps. So there you are. Now I can see you on the front.
That's right.
Woo, cool. We have 50 seats in a room. Stephanie is showing how it's going down on the middle. That's good. Warming up. I'm not recording yet. Let's wait for a few more seconds. Yeah. Oh, that was nice. You know, the waves. But let me put the recording on, and we'll grab a GIF animation as it's now working. We'll see the numbers. Here we go. I can do waves. Everybody, thank you for joining on the call. Thank you for being part of the community, and we'll grab a GIF animation out of this. Sip, I've seen that move before. That's pretty cool. So excellent. Awesome to have this working again. This is really, really cool. We've been missing some of these within the past weeks. But let's jump on the actual stars of the day, David.
Awesome. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Everybody looks fantastic in together mode. But let's move into our first demo with Siddharth on community event registration app on Power Platform. Take it away.
Thank you, David. Let me just share the screen. Hope I'm audible and my screen is visible.
Yep, it's visible. And I don't know if you want to move your mic up just a little bit. It sounded a little echoey. And and then we're seeing your, I just want to swap your.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Again, thanks for the opportunity to present the demo here. Today, I'm going to talk about a community app which we have built for the community. Before I start, a little bit about myself. I'm Siddharth Vaghasia. I'm a Microsoft MVP in Microsoft 365 and business app category. These are some of the social handles through which you would be able to connect with me. I am also a very active PNP contributor. So all these badges which David was talking about, you can see I have kind of almost a few of them. I have listed down a few here also. So today before we jump into, I wanted to set some context around, the purpose or the driving factor behind the app. I am part of an local user group, which we are basically running here at Pune, which is called Pune Tech Community. And we are basically frequent organizer of online and virtual events. Mostly what happens is there are few events which we do, which are generally free events. And we have our own meetup groups wherein we get the attendees confirmations who want to attend that particular event. But generally what happens is before the event date, like probably a week before or something, we knew few of the attendees wouldn't be able to make to the event because of some other commitments. Okay, so as a part of the process, once we knew that this has been an frequent difference in the number of the attendees being registered versus the actual attendees on the day of the event, we came up with a process of where we need to get some confirmation from the attendees just before the event to finally get the confirmation that yes, we are going to be there. And then we also have our registration desk at the event where we basically kind of need to get their information to either share it with the sponsors or to have that information on who will have attended it. So as part of organizing this kind of event very frequently, I had an idea of coming up with an app which basically would be a power apps, like using technology for technical events. And what we do is it will help us basically get the attendees information in hand, and we use this registration. We use this app at the registration desk to quickly basically get an instant check-in of the attendees who are coming. We validate their information which is there and also get the ad hoc registration there. So basically able to streamline the registration process as such. Talking about some of the features or summary of the app, it is a very simple app basically, but an user-friendly interface for event organizer to register the attendees. It basically makes the process of marking the attendee presence at the event so that we can just say okay, you have been present here, and it has search functionality for organizer where we can quickly find and manage the attendees information, and they can also search for it based on the phone number, email, etc. We do also have an ability to scan the QR codes for instant check-in. So if we get the confirmation email, I'll show you in the later part of the demo. We have also some QR codes which we generate and we send them to the attendees in their email so that they can come and then show this QR code, and we use this app to directly scan the QR code and do the instant check-in. This app was kind of developed with community being in mind, catering to specific needs of the event organizer and the attendees. But having said that, I think this app can also be useful for an organization who are also doing similar events at their places and their organization, where they are doing small meetups or group meetups or some kind of events which are happening at the organization level, where they have a registered attendees, where they can use this kind of solution to get the attendees confirmation or attendees registration at the day of the event. Plus, I mean, as it is a Power Apps-based solution, we all know, it's very easily customizable. You can add your own registration field based on the event requirements which you wanted to do. Now coming to the solution, the whole solution kind of is developed using Microsoft Forms. This is a form which we basically send for the confirmation to the attendees. Then we are using SharePoint as data source. Power Automate, obviously, for the automation of sending the emails, doing some processing out of it. And we are using Power Apps for the user interface to basically, search for the users and then mark their presence, etc. For the generation of the QR code, we are using an open source free kind of QR code generator, which is available, which you can find it here, which gives us an ability to generate the QR code using the API which they have provided. So, so this is links to download. I'm sure David would post it in the chat also, but this is where the whole solution is being exported. And this is the PNP list template where basically use the simple schema of storing the data as a part of the registration process. Before I move ahead, I would like to also thank, the Pune Tech Community Organizer, along with me, Nandip, Smita, and Kunj, who kind of helped me build this solution, also providing ideas around, what would be useful for an event organizer to build some similar kind of app. With that, I would like to go to demo. Okay, so this is the app. I will just refresh the page. So what you would see is basically a landing screen or a splash screen. Now we are actually doing an global AI conference on 12th of December, which is next Tuesday. So we are preparing a similar kind of copy of the app for that particular event also. So you would see some references to the global AI conferences. The data here is kind of dummy, but at least we are kind of preparing to it. So this is the splash screen from where you can use your own images or screens to be added for related to the event. Scan now feature would basically take you to if you are using a mobile. So what we do generally is we have either a laptop or also a mobile. So specifically for the mobile part of the app, we have a screen which we have developed kind of vertically so that it can be used very quickly within the mobile interface also, but otherwise it is a tablet layout. And then this will be the dashboard. So what you see here is basically a list of all the attendees or the interested candidates who have confirmed that they are going to attend the particular event. From here, user would be able to search for specific name based on the name, email address, and the phone number. So different kind of search capacity is available. Then consider, like you are at the registration desk and somebody comes. What we have to do is we have to just find a particular name and we have to just say mark your attendance. So once you click on mark your attendance, it will come up with are you a student or not. Mostly in Pune Tech community, we do get many students who attend our conferences. So we have this particular functionality where we check how many were students versus how many were the IT professionals. So you can just say either yes or no, depending on whether the attendee is a student or not. If I say yes, it will mark the present. Now, if you see here, it will tell us the total registration count. It means total number of people who have registered for the event, who have confirmed for the event. How many people are present today? Now, this is sometimes very useful to us as an organizer because we have to do some logistic works, arranging lunch, tea, and seats also to understand how many footfalls are there on the day of the event. And this data can sometimes have to be shared with either the sponsors or we knew that who will have attended the information. So this helps us to keep the count. We make sure that everybody who is there in the door of the event, including these organizers, the speakers, the attendees, we make sure that they do a similar kind of check-in from here so we know what is the total number of count. Now, there are also cases wherein sometimes we also have few people who would come ad hoc, who would have not confirmed, but they would have known, they would know about the event on the last day, they would have not registered, and they directly come as in walk-in. So for similar kind of things, we have this registration form where you have to just put some names, email address, contact, organization, name, etc., and submit it. And by default, they would be able to register there itself. So this is kind of for the walk-in people who comes on the day of the event. So overall, this is how the app works. As I told you, scan now feature basically doesn't work here because we are in the desktop app, but otherwise in the mobile app, we would be able to scan the QR code. It will validate that particular QR code against an email address. and then it will say whether it will that user has confirmed their attendance or not, and then it will also allow to check in, and it will be allowed to make the attendance present on the day of the app. So this is overall a simple app, which would be helpful for the organizers or for the on an organization also, as I said, for them to have a simple Power App solution. Coming to a little bit on the solution walkthrough. So this is a solution which includes all the apps. Includes the flows which are there. It has some connection references, and it has the environment variables, so that to make it dynamic. So if somebody needs to just import this solution, they just need to make sure that they are updating the environment variable, and if the list schema is same, it would basically be able to just configure the app easily into their environment for their use. So coming to the flow, what we have is we basically, the first thing is what we do, we generally send them this kind of survey form, which is like where we ask them their confirmation that, hey, can you please confirm whether you are going to attend the event or not? You have already registered on the meetup, plus we need the confirmation to arrange for the logistic and everything. Once this form is submitted, what we have is we have an acknowledgement kind of form, where what we do is we kind of send an email to the people who have submitted the form. So this is a very simple flow. When a form is been submitted, what we do is we basically send an acknowledgement that, hey, we have received your, no, sorry, not this one. It should be, yeah, it should be this one. So this is where we basically store the data into SharePoint first. So once the form is submitted, what we do is we save this data into the SharePoint list, where we just create the item with all the responses which we would get. And then once the item is created, what we do is we receive that item, and we send an email to the attendees from here, saying that, okay, we have received your confirmation, and we will let you know whether you have been kind of shortlisted or confirmed for the registration or not. Then what we will have is then once sometimes what we have to do is we have to shortlist, because there might be people who might have we might have got more than 100 of confirmations, but due to the venue constraint, we might only be able to accommodate either 50 or 60 of it. So what we do is we basically we as an organizer choose kind of few people with a mixed range of some IT professional students and somebody who are into that particular event. So if it is an AI related event, we make sure that people who are into AI basically would be able to attend that. And then for that, what we do is we basically shortlist the candidates. Now, after shortlisting the candidate, what we do is once we shortlist the number of people which are there, so this is the flow. What it will do is it will go and find all the shortlisted candidates, and then it will, sorry, again, not this one. Yeah, this one. So what we do is we basically kind of generate the QR code and send an email to them, to the shortlisted people, that yes, this is your confirmation that you would be able to, you should be able to attend the event. We generate the QR code, and then we save that QR code into one of the file. And then there is one more flow which actually sends the email. So this is like 4-part thing. What we wanted to do is, if at all we don't wanted to send everything bulk, because we might shortlist 20 people at a time and then another 10 people at a time. So we are not putting everything all together, but there are multiple flows which works together. And this is where I was talking about the API which we call to generate the QR code. And once the QR code is generated, we store that QR code and send that QR code in the email to the users, and then they can come with that QR code or that email confirmation, and we use our app to scan that QR code and basically, able to make the registration confirm, or making the registration confirm for that particular person. Now, coming to the SharePoint list, the SharePoint list is very simple. So if we see here, what we have is we have few columns which we basically use to store the metadata of the registration, their email, contact, organization name, whether they have registered for in person or not. We also do ask whether they have subscribed to our YouTube channel. Then their attendance, whether they are present or not, whether they're working professionals. So these are typical metadata fields which we basically store it as a part of the information. So whole solution is based on just one list. Everything is on one particular list. And on that list, depending on at what point in time, wherever we are triggering or whether we are confirming that particular candidate, a different flow would trigger and then send the confirmation email. Coming to the app and just walking through the screens which are available, because we wanted to share this app with the community for the organizers who are like us, plus also to the organizers who can basically use this simple kind of use case to do the event registration. So this is the splash screen where we have just buttons, and in the dashboard is where we have all the most of the logic, where in the gallery we are displaying the data from the SharePoint list. Then we have the QR code pop-up, which basically kind of opens the QR code and everything. One thing which we are doing here is basically masking the email addresses and phone number. There might be a reason that, just to maintain the privacy or consent of the user, we're just masking it, but otherwise the feature works fine. Masking logic is in a way very simple. What we are doing is we are substituting the email address by the second indexes and before @. So we are finding @ there, and so anything before @ and first letter and the last letter, other than that, everything would kind of become star. Same goes for phone also. Similar way, we are just replacing the contact number with 2 and 8. Mostly, as this is this kind of app would be used at at the places where they have mobile number, which is an 10-digit mobile number. You can use this similar kind of logic there. Then there is a scan screen. Like on the scan screen, what we have is that on scan event, we have the logic where we are just hiding it, and then we are matching the email address, which is part of the QR code, with the attendees and whether they have confirmed yes or no. And based on that, we are specifying whether you are a verified candidate or not, and then basically able to them to register themselves. So yeah, this is the and this is the mobile layout. Okay, so same screen, just copy it to mobile layout so that can be easily or easily accessible if we are using it from the mobile. And mostly scan now feature we are going to use from the mobile, so we have a separate screen specifically for that. So this is the solution overall. What I wanted to talk about. Again, as I said, the idea here was to share it with the community and use this kind of solution for the event registration process. It has helped us a lot. And while we were also organizing the Global Power Platform Bootcamp, we have been able to share this with many organizations offline also, where on the Teams channel or on the WhatsApp group where we said that we have similar kind of app. Many people have asked for the solution where we have shared with them offline. But using this platform, we wanted to kind of share it with everybody in the community who would like to use this solution. And that's it from my side. David, over to you.
Awesome, Siddharth. Really, really great stuff here. I appreciate how you're using this externally, but for those that are watching, this absolutely could be used internal for an internal event or something like that, right? So think about the different ways that you can harness the power of this. That's really, well, you powered it up, Siddharth. So thank you so much for sharing that with the community. Thank you for sharing the actual solution. We'll have to talk to you about getting that in the PNP repos as well, maybe at some point. So that would be really, really cool, and we appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
Well, what time is it? That's right. It is Warrior Horse time. So we'll invite Chris Kent, whether he's ready or not, which he's probably not, but he'll be ready enough because he's awesome.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Take over the screen.
I don't know if I was muttering to nobody or somebody, or I don't know. All right, let's see. There I am. I'm Chris. Wowee. Let's do stuff. All right, let's talk about things. All right, so we head on over to our classic Warrior Horses list. Now, our Warrior Horses, they track all sorts of things in their list, and in lists and across their site. And one thing they were disturbed by is there doesn't seem to be an out-of-the-box template to track parts of their anatomy in SharePoint. And of course, that is something we all want to do. So for this case, we're just going to have to create our own list for that, right? So we'll create our own anatomy list. This is important if you're trying to keep track of all your limbs or organs or, whatever other various parts you want to check out there and track inside SharePoint. So you create your anatomy list, as we all do. All right, and then we're going to add a couple of columns, right? So the first thing we'll add is, who is this person, right? Who is the horse? All right, we'll just say, yeah, that's fine, and we're going to require it. Sounds great. So you got to specify your horse. All right, and then we're going to say, just for now, we'll start off easy, and we're just going to say a number. How many legs do you have, right? And so for the legs, we're going to say the default value is 4. And we're going to come down here, and we're going to say our minimum value is 0, and our maximum value is 4. All right, and we're going to require this column contains information as well. Perfect, great. So let's save that, and then let's go ahead and let's hide this time. We don't need this thing. Get out of here. You get out of here, you silliness. Perfect. Okay, we're going to get rid of that. So now we have this very cool list. Wow. Let's just add a couple of entries here, right? So I had like Tiny Horse Jr., right? And we'll keep 4 legs is fine for all these guys, right? And we'll say Tony the Pony. That sounds good. And I got another horse somewhere, right? Yeah, Vigo Horsenberg. Perfect. All right, so we've got these horses, right? We're just going to edit that or exit that. So they've all got 4 legs. And that's it for my demo. Just kidding, David. Wouldn't that be funny?
I said he wasn't ready, right?
I just wanted to show you how to create a list with legs in it. All right, good. We're all done. All right, just good. All right, so let's take a look at how we can make this editing experience kind of cool, right? So we're going to column settings. We're going to format this column. And we're going to go to advanced mode. And I'm going to just paste one that I've already got over here, and then we'll take a look at what I'm doing and how we can customize it further. So let's paste it and hope it works, and boom, it did. All right, so what we've done here is we've added a couple of buttons, right? Added a minus button and a plus button, and we'll take a look at what that looks like in a second, but the idea here is if I hit minus, right, it subtracts the value down to 3, and if I hit plus, right, it'll go back up to 4 or so on, right? So Tiny Horse, poor little guy, has only got a couple of legs. I mean, he is tiny, and maybe that's why. All right, so there we go. So now that's kind of what we're doing. So how are we handling that? So let's see, we've got a couple of things we're doing. One, you'll notice when I hover over this, I'm actually able to edit this field directly, right? So I could say something like, 3, and when I click off it, it just automatically saves. You see that updated list item, wow, right? Or we could come in here and we could try and mess it up, right? We could say like 18, right? And we do that, we're gonna see our minimum and maximum values are enforced, right? Because we set those up, so that's pretty cool. Or if we set up custom column validation or so on, we could have that show up there too. But we're also, you'll notice this thing gets disabled, right? So we're also handling some of that right here inside our editor, right? So we get down to 0, you can't do that anymore. So let's take a look at how we're doing all of that. So the first part is actually pretty easy, and that's this inline edit field. And so we come down here, and all we're doing is where we're showing it. So we've got this div right here. Right, and all this thing is it's got a thing to make it look pretty on the color, but then it's just saying, hey, whatever the value is of the field, just show it, right? And if you use the display value, you don't need to use the display value, but that helps it look extra pretty. And then we're saying that inline edit field trick, we've looked at a number of times, of just at current field, that automatically adds this fanciness right here. Now we could do a few other things with this, right? Like, so we could make this look a little prettier. And in fact, let's do that. So let's add a style, because one of the things I don't like necessarily about this, right, is it just, look how cramped that is. That's no good, right? So let's fix that. So that inline editor, right, is largely going to be determined by whatever your element is, right? So it's just taking that. So if we come in here and we say our own padding on it, right? So we say our padding, and in this case, we're going to say 2 pixels, 8 pixels, 2 pixels, 4 pixels. Great. Okay. So if we preview that, now we get a little more space in there, right? So now it's a little more like an actual text box we want to do. There are actually some very custom styles that have been added here, right? So we can actually say inline editor border radius. Ooh, catchy, right? And then we can say, man, we just love those so much. Like 8 pixels, right? We can do that. Why not? All right, and so now we get ourselves a nice round thing there. I don't know, I like the round, right? So we can take that back down to 4 pixels, kind of match everything else, all the buttons and everything. I'll have that kind of 4 pixel look to them as well. There we go. So we'll just keep it at 4 pixels. Sounds great. There's a few others. We'll look at those at the end that really just control that border that gets added to whatever element you're putting this inline edit field on. Okay, now the other part. So let's take a look at what we're also doing here. So these guys right here. Now, it probably won't be very obvious from looking at it, but we have 4 elements, right? So we have 4 elements that make up these 2 buttons we see. And the reason we're doing that is basically these 2 are the subtract button and these 2 are the plus button. And what we're doing is we're drawing one that's for for disabled, right? So that's the second one right here. So all we're doing here is we're just showing an icon. We're not doing anything to it, so we don't get any there's no actions associated. There's no cursor changes. There's nothing going on there. There's no hover styles. It's just neutral tertiary to give it that nice grayed out look. And then we're saying display this if the current field, right, is where it can actually subtract, right? So as long as it's above 0, go for it, right? So this is where we put our minimum or maximum. We're going to enforce those here. And then the other one is the actual active one, which is a little more complicated. And the reason we do this is separate so we can apply different styles and we don't have to put that same expression everywhere because that gets really irritating. It's a lot easier to just have these elements we turn on or off as needed. All right, so in this case, we've got this, and here's the key. All right, this custom row action, instead of an inline edit field, we're setting the value. All right, we're saying the legs column, just whatever it is, subtract 1. Now we know that we could put in like if statements. We could get really fancy here, right, to like do all that. But by doing it this way, we're saying, well, we're only going to show it if it's above 0. So we don't even need to do the check here. Now you could and have fun with that. And that's great. And we're doing the exact opposite thing, right? So you'll see it's just a +1 in the add. And the key here is that on our display, we use the exact same condition. We just swap the none and the blank, right? Based on if we want to show it or not, based on that same condition. You could try and write this as the opposite condition, like less than or equal to. And I'll tell you from experience, that seems great at first, but maintenance of that is very difficult. If you've got these kind of elaborate conditions, this one's pretty straightforward. We're going to look at one where we can go a little further than that, and let's take a look at that now. So we've got this. Wow. Let's add additional columns. Let's save that. And let's add a new column, right? Because we got more anatomy to track, right? And we'll just add a nice yes, no field here. And we're just going to say head. Do they got one or not, right? So the default is yes, they have a head. So we're going to save that. And we're going to pull it over here. It is required info. So let's just go give everyone a head, I guess, right? So we're going to edit this in the grid view once again. You got a head, you got a head, and you got a head. Wow. And I said all that, and actually, Tony the Pony, bad news, bro. No more head for you. Because Tony the Pony doesn't have a head anymore. So here's one of the things we can do, right? So is come up here, and I'm just going to save that view because I moved some stuff around. All right, let's go up here, and I'm going to format the current view. I'm just going to do a rule because that's the easiest way in this case. And I'm going to say, by default, don't apply any styling. Otherwise, let's add another rule, and let's look at that head column. Right, and when it is equal to no, they don't have a head, right? Well, then let's just do this lovely thing here, right? So now we're just going to make it red, right? Now you don't have a head, so that's cool. So now we're interacting, right? So now we've got that on top of it. You can see it's playing nicely with our format here because we added this little white border around it to make it look fancy, right? But it's still editable, which is a little weird because, like, why are we tracking their legs if they haven't had a head, right? So let's change that a little bit. So let's come back into our format. And let's come up here, and the first thing we're going to do is, well, we don't really want it to look like it's editable, so let's change that class. It's determined in that white, and the reason we're using a class for this, by the way, instead of just, having the background color as white here in our style is because this will play, that white will actually swap over to the dark, like the black color if you swap over to a dark theme. So that's helpful, but we can rewrite this as a quick expression, right? We can say equals if, and we can say that, head column, right? So if they got the head, all right, then I want you to do the white. Otherwise, I don't want you to do a class at all. And now when we preview that, now we can see we still get that nice little white background for when we've got that selection thing, but now it's not there, so that makes it look a little less like it's interactive. And we can come down a little further, right? And so we already have nice disabled states, right? So let's come down to our disabled states, and let's just make those better. So one of the things we want to do is we want to stop showing the add button. All right, well, first, let's go ahead and make it so we can actually see both buttons. There you go. All right, so we want to stop showing that, right? So let's save that. And let's go down here to this current field, -1, right? This is the one that's actually doing the stuff. And so what we want to do is we just want to say head and, right? And if we do that, right, you see that goes away because head's not true. And so we're literally just going to grab that head and we're just going to flop it in there. That's the term, flop it in. All right, I'm going to flop it in there. I don't actually like that term. Got one there. I got one here. Okay. Boom. Right. So there we go. Preview that. And now it automatically disables, right, no matter what. But we still have this other issue with this inline edit field. And so the way we would solve that is we come up here to where we've got that inline edit field, and we're going to do the exact same thing we were doing before, which is we're going to just use because we can't do a conditional thing really inside this inline edit field. We're just going to add another guy here, and instead we're not going to have the inline edit field. Just take that out, right? So then we don't need this. We'll keep the padding the same, right? But then we'll just keep all of this just like that, except it doesn't have inline edit. The key is, right, so if we were to preview that right now, we would see that we have two of these. Whoops, we don't want two, but one of them is not editable, right? And so now we can say, instead of neutral primary, we can say neutral tertiary. There we go. So that looks better, right? But now let's add our same kind of display thing, right? So now we're just going to put as our display, right? We're going to say equals if that heed, right? Heed move. All right, if heed. All right, we're going to say just show it. Otherwise, we're going to say none, right? And there we go. Actually, I think we need to reverse that, don't we? Because this is the, yeah, okay, let's decide that. Boom, so that goes away. All right, so now we just take this exact same thing here, and let's go up to our one we had before, right here in our styles, add a comma, paste that in, and the difference is, again, we're going to just swap these like this. Boom, ba-doom, aha! So there we go. So now we've disabled our editing basically based on a whole other property, right? So they don't have a head. We don't really want to provide that nice little functionality. Ooh, that's exciting. So, but let's go a little further, right? So now we got this legs thing. We want to track something else, right? So let's go ahead and just close that. Let's add another column. We're going to add another number column, right? And we're going to call this laser shoes, right? So this is their laser shoes that are attached to their legs. Now we're going to do kind of the same thing here. We're going to say, the default value is going to be 0 on this one, but we're going to say it has the same minimum 0, maximum of 4, right? Because it's going to match those legs. We're just going to say save. Even though we put a default value, right? We don't get those in there. So let's edit these real quick just to make it easier, right? So they have 0, 0, 0. Actually, that's not sad. Let's make this, they have all 3 laser shoes. Perfect. Okay, great. So now we've got some laser shoes, right? It's all playing nicely. And we can add that same kind of thing. So if we come into here and we say format this column, and again, I'm just going to Control A, Control C, copy that whole thing, and I'm going to switch over to my laser shoes column, advanced mode. I'm going to apply that same thing here. It won't actually work right off the bat. And that's because we have these action inputs. We can't use the @current field here. We have to actually put the internal name of the column. And so what we're going to do is we do Control F right here, and we can say wherever we say legs, right? And there's 2 spots. Just say laser shoes instead, all right? That's the one we really want to edit now. Perfect. Okay, so now if we preview that, all right, it looks pretty much the same because it's going to edit the laser shoes column, right? Well, you notice there's something weird there, right? If I hit plus on this, I can't have more laser shoes than I have legs. That doesn't make any sense, right? So let's get that corrected. So if we come down here to our current one, all we really want to do is see our laser shoes. We want to disable it, right? So we want to look at the adding, right? So let's go there into subtraction. Let's go down to the adding, right? So we have our add to is the icon name right there. Perfect. So we got our increase here. And so what we want to do is say, we have this like display, right? Is if heed and current field and blah, blah, blah. And so now we're going to say, instead of less than 4, right, we're just going to say legs, right? So the value of the other column, right? So if we preview that, you'll see that goes away. We'll have to also, of course, add the same condition. And again, this is why I said, don't change your conditions, change the other part so you can easily keep copying and pasting your conditions as they get more complicated. Boom. So now, right, so just doing that, we can't exceed the number of, legs we have with our laser shoes, right? If we increase our legs, I didn't save, so let's save. Now we can increase our laser shoes, right? And so on. So go down, now we can't. So that's pretty cool. So now we've tied these two together a little bit. But we do have one issue, right? Whereas if this is actually going to be truly connected, right? If we add a leg here, that'd be fine. That works. But what if we were to subtract a leg? What? That doesn't make sense, right? So let's fix that too. So let's go to column settings. We're going to format this column, and we're going to go down to our legs. And when you hit to our subtraction, right? So that's up at the top here. I don't know where that is. Let's see, blocked. The icon name, block 12. All right, so we got our decrease here. And so now we're going to say, I don't even remember what we're trying to do. Well, we're trying to also set the other value, right? So this is what we need to do. So we also want to set laser shoes here. So we're going to also say, whenever you edit this thing, set the laser shoes value as well. All right, and we're going to say an if statement. So we're going to say if the laser shoes, all right, is less than or equal to the the value that's going to be, which is at current field -1, right? So if it is less than or equal to that, then you don't need to do anything, right? It's already fine. So just use whatever the value for laser shoes is, right? Just keep it the same. So really, we're not changing anything here, right? Otherwise, go ahead and set it to whatever the legs are, which is going to be current field -1, all right? So let's take a look and see if that works. Whoop, whoop. All right, preview that. So now we have this idea. Let's just save it. So if I decrease the legs, it decreases my laser shoes as well. But I can increase these so they're not truly tied together, right? And except for when I'm saying I cannot possibly have that many laser shoes. And so now what we've got, right, is we've got a view format, right? Just the additional row class on top here, which is this nice thing, which indicates we don't have a head. Very obvious, because very important information. We also have these inline editors that are both sensitive to that field and to each other, right? So they're interacting with each other. We've got this kind of inline edit experience. We've customized the styles around that. And then that's it. I want to go over to the slides and kind of wrap this up. But you can start to see there's some real power here. Womp womp. There we go. All right. So real quick, just to cover this. So the inline edit field, here's the supported fields, right? I've also found these are also working. So if you're doing this, you could just add that inline edit field. It'll work. We've got lots of examples of that in our samples repo. And when you're doing that, right, so you can use this at current field in the column formats, right? That's a really easy way to not have to hard code your current field into that inline edit field. But you can also, just like we looked at, we can edit other fields with the set value. You can also do it with inline edit field. In other words, you could have a view format that's had inline edit field for different fields all over the place. You just use that internal name. And then this is what's going to, by default, right, you get this kind of 2-pixel border around everything and that neutral primary. But again, if you want to change that, well, good news. These are those specialized styles. So if you use these just like you would any other style, they're going to map that to those inline editor border fields that get applied on hover. Okay, so there you go. That's that. Now, one last thing here is we have a couple of samples that really illustrate the same principles I was just showing here. Some of them are a little more elaborate, right? So we've got one that's the number level bar. It's an editor that shows a very similar type experience. It's not a spin editor, but it is showing how you can have that constrained up and down with disabling. And then we have the ELF progress board, which is doing some of these spin numbers, but it's also demonstrating how to do that across a progress bar with multiple fields all inside a view format. So it's a little more advanced, but it'll show you how we can apply some of these techniques we looked at today a little more. And that's it for me.
Awesome, Chris. So quick question. Keep that up for a second, by the way. Everyone agrees that it was horse-tastic, right? But for those that maybe don't have a murderous equestrian enterprise at their fingertips, what are some of the ways in which you could see this being used in a more family-friendly business scenario?
Well, I don't help those kinds of people. Just kidding. No, actually, there's tons of. So again, if you take a look at some of these, here, let's go back over here real quick. So I actually have some of this. This was that number level bar, right? So this is this shows a threat level, but you can imagine you may have just a quick number or status you want to change, right? And you're showing it on a gauge, so that's a great way to do that. And then we also have this ELF progress bar, where you can see it's a little. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit on that. There we go. We zoom in just a little bit, right? You can see that same kind of inline edit field, plus or minus. This is also a bit of a ridiculous scenario, right? But the idea is it's showing how you could build these inline editors. Like we looked at a poll a while back, right? With those inline editors, because that is a really interesting scenario where if you don't want to provide, provide that I keep saying inline edit. If you want to edit things on the page, which is a lot better experience than just editing properties, right? Because it's a what you see is what you get kind of thing. That's where this kind of stuff really comes into play. So if you've got a regular field and maybe you've got a status, right? And you've got that status and it goes in order, right, and you just want to move to the next stage, you could have that as a drop down, right? Or you could just have a plus or a minus button to move it through those stages, right? So that's one good use case. You could also do this with icons and other stuff. So I use that a lot with the status type thing. But again, number fields are a real obvious editor too. Does that help answer your question, David?
Yep, absolutely. Just wanted to give everybody a little more context to some useful ways that they could use it practically. So that's really, really cool. And Chris said, like, this is a low formatting or low code way of formatting your data in a way that is going to make the experience better, right? So while your users are interacting with the data, it's going to be a better experience and it's going to lead to more adoption, and it won't just feel like a bunch of rows and columns. So awesome.
Well, and David, real quick, I just would like to say with that, the whole low code thing, what I just demonstrated is not truly low code, right? In terms of, there was quite a bit of complicated code and logic in that. Now, there's all sorts of things you do, just copy these samples, right? And then you could just tweak them, and that'll keep it pretty low code for you. Or you could use the design wizards, like we said. But really, the power is, when we say low code here, is I only need designer level permissions to apply these, right? So we're saying there's no package, there's no deployment, there's no app catalog for all these. That's the power of the low code in this sense. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And like Chris said, the samples are there. So when you hear the words like no code, low code, sometimes it may feel like that's a little bit of a misnomer or a lie, right? But I think we all can copy and paste, to Chris's point. I know Hugo, Chris and I talk a lot about this in our workshops. You absolutely can just go copy and paste, and that is a good way to apply it and also learn. So don't think those samples are just there simply to contribute to or to have to use holistically. They're a great learning opportunity as well, I think. So to see how some of these things are put together. And then, as Chris said, JSON can get quite complex, but when you're starting at the smaller side, then there's a great opportunity to adopt it. Anything else?
That's all
Chris?
I got, bro.
All right. Chris has left the demo. All right, everybody. Thank you, Siddharth and Chris, both for being our amazing presenters of the day. Fantastic job. We really appreciate everyone in the community showing up. So again, if you would like to present, definitely fill out that form and we will get you scheduled. If you'd like to get more involved in the community, we've got our Discord channel, or Discord server, I should say. So definitely, it's no cost to join this, and I think we are up over 1,000 now. Actually, 1,000 community members in there. So it's one of the newer technologies to collaborate around things that we're passionate about. And of course, there's probably other servers you're involved with. So it's kind of a one-stop shop to be able to collaborate in a number of areas of your life in one location. It's really, really cool. And we were trying to make a bunch of channels available to everyone there that crosses a number of the community initiatives. We also would love to know some feedback on our calls, and if you've already filled this out, we thank you. If it's been a while since you filled it out, we absolutely welcome you to fill it out again. It shows our management that you appreciate the calls and find value in them, and allows us to provide that data-driven information that these are useful for you and that you are getting value out of them. The call will be available in 24 hours, or the recording, I should say, will be available in 24 hours at the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community YouTube channel. Go subscribe there today, aka.ms/community/videos. If you subscribe, you will be alerted as soon as it's available. If you don't, and you just look at Teams waiting for it to say the video's ready, and you're not a Microsoft employee, it'll just lead to tears and sadness and blue screens of death, and nobody wants that. So definitely go subscribe to be alerted as soon as it's available. You can also follow us on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it today at M365PNP, and our community LinkedIn page or group. The next call will be December 21st. That'll be our next Microsoft 365 and Power Platform bi-weekly call, 2 weeks from today. Viva Connection, SharePoint Framework, you guessed it, 1 week from today. Like we said, those Thursday calls are not taking a vacation. They are here for you every week of the year. You can access all the calls at ak.ms/community/calls. Get those invites, get them added to your calendar, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week and a wonderful weekend.